The nightmare continues for the family of Queensland man Caleb List, who's gone missing in eastern Ukraine. The 25-year-old was fighting Russian forces when he was reportedly killed last month, but as yet his body hasn't been recovered, nor has his death been confirmed. With no new information, his loved ones are now holding out hope he may have been taken prisoner. And Caleb's uncle, Michael Connolly, is kind enough to join us now. Michael, thanks so much for being there, because this is such an incredibly difficult time for you and the family. How are you all doing?
It's a bit of a, as you said, Waleed, it's a very strenuous time for all of us. More so for the fact that half of the family only found out yesterday. We didn't find out through official channels. We actually found out through unofficial channels when it was reported in the media. So that was a bit of a shock to have it reported to us in that way. So we've had to take that on board, as well as take on board the information we've got, but we're hopeful that more information will come to light in the future, which will shed different light on the situation.
What a terrible way to find out that must be, and to be in the dark about so much. So when was the last time you saw or heard from Caleb?
Caleb returned home last year to visit his father and his family and his mother and his brother and other family members. He was here for about 3 or 4 months before returning to Europe. And it was great to have him back home, because it was just Caleb. He was home. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a mercenary. He was just our nephew, our friend, Caleb, home again. And we'd like to see him back again.
It's extraordinary that he went to Ukraine, he comes back to Australia, then he goes. The last time he was here, having already been to Ukraine, did he seem changed in any way to you?
Caleb's always been a very thoughtful young man. He was never really been outwardly verbose, talking a lot. He takes a lot of things in and internalises them, but I noticed that he was even more quiet when he came back this time around. So obviously things that he'd seen on the battlefront had affected him in certain ways, I'm sure.
Do you know why Caleb felt so compelled to go to Ukraine?
He was the sort of person who, when he saw something that he sort of felt as an injustice, he couldn't help but to help. That was his nature. He was a helpful sort of person. He wanted to help other people, and he always wanted to be in the military. And his desire to be a part of a military organisation took him overseas.
Michael, can you tell us a little bit more about Caleb as a person outside of this, this story?
That's more like the person. That's more what I would like to talk about, because Caleb himself is. I mean, many people will make their own opinions about him and why he was over there, what his motivations were, but he was not politically motivated. He was not. He didn't have an idealistic attitude. He really just wanted to go over and help. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to help the people that he saw were being treated badly.
Michael, was there ever a conversation either between yourself and Caleb or others where you just asked him not to go, to stay?
Yes, we had that conversation with him as a family prior to him leaving in 2022. We just asked him to really consider his decision and to understand what he was actually doing. And his decision would be something he'd have to live with. And we really understood that he had made a decision from much thought and much consideration, and we had to accept his decision in the end.
What did he say to you?
He just wanted to be a member of the army. That was what from a young age. He's wanted to be a soldier, and he worked towards becoming an Australian soldier for many, many years. He was part of the cadets, and he did all of the training as a cadet and worked through and got through a lot of things and went through a lot of, jumped through a lot of hoops, and unfortunately at the last hurdle got let down by 1 point on the exam and couldn't resit the exam, so that took the wind out of his sails a bit.
You mentioned finding out things via unofficial channels. Information just seems to be hard coming out of Russia. We've seen instances where it's been unreliable. The case of Oscar Jenkins, for example, you might remember, who was reported dead actually, and then it turned out later that he was alive. Where are you going? Is there anywhere you can go for reliable information on Caleb?
I have been told by reliable sources that Caleb's mother actually got to speak directly to his unit commander over in the Ukraine, and she was informed that when they returned to the area where the skirmish was, there was no sign of any body or any remains as such. So at this stage, we're still, we are up in the air as far as an official word at this stage. We don't have an official finding at this point.
Michael, it's an unbearable weight. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much.